Hello everyone, I'm Alina Candia and today I'm gonna talk a bit about fermentation and biology, how the fermentation works. It's a special video for Amando in Gambia because he is an awesome baker and is teaching a lot of people to make bread and teaching, so I want to give a hand and share a bit of knowledge. And to start, I would like to go with the normal fermentation or the more common use one. Well, fermentation is made by microorganisms. They are microscopical and normally one cell organism. The more commonly used now for baking is the yeast. You can get dry yeast, with hydrated yeast, or they said fresh yeast. And you get it in a package like this, where there are thousands and thousands and millions of microorganisms ready to ferment. Well, what they do, this is one cell organism that is from the group of the mushrooms. It's a mushroom disease actually, which eat the 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 flour, the sugar of the flour, the starch, and when this microorganism eat it, it generates CO2 or carbon dioxide. There's a gas which is the one that make the pastries to grow up. So because we add a certain amount of this one, they reproduce and start to ferment and produce a lot of gas, and then the pastry, the dough, everything grows super fast. In 1 2 hours, you can have a very big bread. But this one also is named commercial yeast. But we have other kind of fermentation that is made of for white yeast. That is called sourdough that I have here. This one is made in your home and you don't need to buy it. You just need to feed it time to time. And this one was the first kind of fermentation that the human used to make bread or other dough. So, and was used a lot of time, long time till the industrialization, when they start to change it for the commercial yeast that's much faster. But the sourdough have the richness that gives you more nutrition, more flavor than the yeast, because there are several kind of yeast and bacteria that that ferment the flour, which give a very more nutrition bread. The only problem is that take more time, and you need to take care about the sourdough to keep it alive. So I'm gonna explain what is sourdough. Well, here we have some grains. Let me show you. Well, on the skin of the grains, there are microorganisms that they like to eat uh, flour or the grain. When the grain is smashed, this undeshydrated, the yeast and bacteria get, you can say, to sleep, and they stay in the grain. But when you put it together, for example, in this glass, you can put 4 grain flour. You add it, then you add a bit of white flour to give it energy, because you can imagine when you're sleeping, you're a bit tired and you need a bit more sugar. Then you add a little bit of normal flour, and then you totally wake up them with water. So you add water, you mix it, And then the microorganisms that were sleeping now they are hydrated and then start to be more active and start to reproduce. You can have between 12 to 30 different microorganisms that ferment this. And if you repeat this process, you add water, flour, mix it for 1 2 weeks at room temperature, you're gonna start to have bubbles. You can see it, which means that they are working, they are awake, and they are ready to ferment. They are ready to make fermentation and make delicious pastries. I really prefer to make bread with that kind of uh, ferment with soda because it's more nutrition and you get more support for your intestinal flora, or yeah, it's good for your gut. Uh, Actually, this kind of fermentation was very traditional and fully used in Germany for a long time, and now there are few traditional bakeries that they still use it, and they have big containers with this kind of mixture, a community of microorganisms. You say community because there are many, and they keep it there alive for more than 100 years. So they feed it every 2 days or every 3 days, and then they keep it alive and pass from generation to generation, and it's very amazing. So sourdough is the more traditional way and healthy way to ferment, and if you have time, you should try because it's really different. Also, this is why the sourdough bread, the artisanal one, is so expensive because it take more time to do it. But what gives to your body is much better and for your tongue. Thank you for watching. I hope you try to do sourdough. I'm gonna repeat the recipe. You put the same amount of flour, for example, 25 grams of flour, full grain, 25 grams of white flour the first day, and 50 grams of water. You mix it, you wait. Then the next day you add full grain, 20 grams, water, 20 grams, but every time the amount of flour had to be equal to the amount of water. And you repeat this until 2 weeks, and then you're gonna start to see fermentation. And then you can start to use it and check some recipes. They are amazing. If you want to try some recipe, just ask me. I can give you some links. But yeah, worth the try, and it's much healthy. Have a good night or good day. Well, here's night, but yeah, in your country maybe it's day. And yeah, all the best. Bye bye.